Welcome to Columbus Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Kristen Wilcock, and I am a licensed religious science practitioner here at the Columbus Center, and I'll be sharing our announcements today. A huge thank you to everyone joining us today in person and on our Facebook page for meditation and Sunday celebration. And a big thank you to everyone that contributes to our center, the Columbus Center for Spiritual Living. Your donations and pledges help us celebrate here on Sundays and also provide online inspiration. In November, we will be launching our pledge drive for 2022, so look for more information to come. If you would like prayer after service or any time throughout the week, you can find our prayer practitioners on our website, columbuscsl.org, or you can submit a prayer request on our Facebook page. Today after service, our practitioners will be in the lobby just outside the doors, and we'll be happy to pray with you as well. That is the news for today, so let's all stand and sing our opening song.
Morning. It is so nice to see everyone this morning. Welcome to all of you who are watching online. Please feel free to share our live stream to your own Facebook page. We are glad that you are here with us virtually. We are glad you're watching either this morning live, or we're glad that you're watching later on. God bless you. Glad that you're watching later on if you choose to watch this later on. And it's so nice to see everyone in person here this morning as well. Welcome. We will upload this service later on to our YouTube channel, Columbus CSL. And as many of you know, we are in search of our next senior minister. And in order to create the consciousness for this, at the beginning of each service, we speak our sacred covenant prayer out loud. So I would invite you, if you feel moved to, speak this out loud with me, or allow my words to become your words as I speak our CSL New Minister Community Prayer. I know Spirit expresses itself through each person as one perfect life that is God's life. I recognize God is loving, gracious, abundant, and wise, and these qualities of Spirit are my qualities, as well as the qualities of the whole Columbus Center for Spiritual Living community. I know the power of affirmative prayer, and I claim by faith and mindful action that Spirit now guides our new senior minister to CCSL. I claim my new minister as a revelation of God as wholeness. I see our chairs filled with people and families who are attracted and inspired to science of mind and spirit, and our new senior minister inspiring us to be our best expression of Spirit within us. I affirm now our new minister helps CCSL grow and prosper, knowing that God resides in each of us and that we are co-creating with Spirit to fulfill our mission of making the world a better place, a place that works for everyone. I am thankful our prayers and affirmations bring this new minister to CCSL. I am grateful that we are building a strong and loving community of people who embrace love, wisdom, and the freedom to be a wise and loving expression of the One. I release this community prayer into the law, knowing that it is already done, and so it is. Thank you. Now please read our mission statement along with me. We serve the transformation of individual lives through education, spiritual practice, and deep community, using Spirit and science mind principles as our compass. And I'd like to thank practitioner Joni Bauman for that beautiful meditation this morning. Also, thank you to Joni for holding High Watch. It's a state of consciousness that allows us to go deeper into our service today. So now I'd like to reintroduce Kristen Wilcock. Kristen.
We now begin our sacred service with the ringing of the bowls. A reading from Eric Butterworth, Spiritual Economics, page 90. It is a powerful insight to live by. Always get the view from the top. Before you react in negativity to people, conditions, or things, take a moment to lift up your eyes onto the hills. Contemplate all the changing, challenging experiences from the highest possible point of view. Regardless of the appearances of conflicts or limitations, see all things from the awareness of the allness of life and the ever-presence of substance. From the view from the top, you will see things creatively, leading to an attitude that is constructive and optimistic. Now let the music take us within.
Wash your
is no limit to the love of God. Its intelligence is forever reaching higher and higher into the fullness of expression. Creativity, beauty, and compassion are Spirit's generous gifts. Spirit holds everyone and everything in its warm embrace of support and safety. This one includes all of life, and therefore it includes me. I am one with its creativity, beauty, and compassion. I am supported and held in Spirit's warm embrace. The free-flowing wisdom of divine intelligence gives me insight and inspiration. I am attuned to the power of transformation that is always moving through me, elevating life to its next highest expression. I align myself with the inclusive nature of Spirit. Compassion is my natural state of being, and I open my heart to express it more fully. I transcend all false thinking and give myself to the highest expression of life. Life is creating itself through my thought, and therefore I claim that I will love more deeply and more fully. I give thanks for this shift in my awareness. I am grateful for the gifts of Spirit that are now more fully realized in my life. I trust the creative process, knowing that this prayer is already more fully expressed in my experience. And so it is.
watching you play your flute, Carissa, reminded me of the time that you told us about how you picked up your flute again. That was an amazing story about how Carissa hadn't picked up her flute since I think it was high school, right? And it was sitting there, kind of calling your name, wasn't it? Yes. Gosh, and it's amazing how you play that thing. Well, thank you for sharing your talent. So good morning. It's nice to see everyone's masked faces. It's nice to see you all here this morning. It is November. Can you believe it is already November? And our global theme today, the Centers for Spiritual Living, which we are a part of, it is an international organization. Our global theme for this month is Breathe in the View. Breathe in the View. And we heard that this morning with Joni's wonderful meditation as she talked about being on top of the mountaintop. We heard that with Kristen's, the reading from Eric Butterworth about being on top of the mountain. And the weekly theme for today is the view from here. So that is what I want to talk about today. And as we think about, last week I talked about where we came from January, and our themes that have been from January flowing through now almost to the end of the year. We started and we got a new vision for ourselves, for our community, for the world. We lived that, and now we're kind of coming to the end of the year, going into the darkness of the winter as we fell back last night. We're getting ready to go into at least here in Central Ohio, cold, but not too cold, for anyone who might be interested in watching as a potential new senior minister. Doable, manageable, promise. But we're getting ready to go into that time in our lives where the days are shorter and they're colder, into that darkness. But in our theme for Centers for Spiritual Living, we're talking about reaching our summit. If we see like January being the base of the mountain and moving up towards the summit, and Ernest Holmes, our founder, talked about life being like a spiral around like this, so we can kind of think of moving up that mountain as a spiral, coming up to the summit. We can think about this summit a couple different ways. One of the ways I want to start with is to think about, as we come up to the end of the year, we come up to the end of our calendar year here, think back, just take a moment, think back if you can to January. Gosh, not even January 2020, because I remember January 2020, I gave a talk. It was about clear seeing, and then everything shut down. I can't even remember the end of 2020, beginning of 21. Oh, yes, I can. If you think back then, gosh, think about how different. That's when everything was shut down. What was before the vaccines came out. Think about how far we have come as a world with the vaccines. Think about how far we have come as a community. We are still here. We are still doing Sunday services. We are still live streaming. So that is a huge accomplishment, especially during a global pandemic and not having a senior minister. And it really is a testament to it takes a village. Because it's not just me up here speaking on Sundays. It is all of the people that it has taken the volunteers, the practitioners, the slides, the music. I just want us to take a minute. That's a huge accomplishment, you guys. Really. Just take a minute and just breathe that in. We are still here. We are still going. We are still getting the message of Science and Mind out into the world. We have a new website. We have our posting listed for our open pulpit. And this is just what we're doing in CCSL. Take a moment and think back to the beginning of the year, where you were at the beginning of the year, and what you have either accomplished or become or let go of today, throughout this last year. And I like to tell my 16-year-old daughter, whether or not she admits she hears me or not, I know she hears me. It's not what we see, but it's how we see things. So when we think back about our year, how are we looking at the things that have happened in our lives? And I bring this up because in Centers for Spiritual Living, our evolutionary vision is that we envision humanity. We envision everyone. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence. And we talk about awakening to our spiritual magnificence. It's like, I don't know if it was Kristen that said it or Joni that said it, but we were born in the image and the likeness of God. There's nothing else we have to do to become any more spiritual than we are right now. I've heard it said, and I like this analogy about it's as if we are a lantern and God is the flame on the inside of the lantern, and the dust and the grime of the journey gets on the outside of our lantern. It's on the windows of the lantern. And we need to go in and clear those windows of our lantern to let our light shine even more brightly so it can get through the dust and the grime. My teacher used to say, when we take our showers in the morning, think about washing off the dust and the grime that has accumulated over our days so that we can be a clear expression for the divine. We can also do that when we brush our teeth at night. When we brush the grime off of our teeth, what if we just paused and remembered there's nothing we need to change. There's nothing we need to do. We just need to awaken to our spiritual magnificence exactly the way we are. That's a whole different way of looking at God, at least for me, than I had when I was growing up. Because it used to be, and I grew up relatively Christian, not really religious, but Christian-ish, and we live in a Judeo-Christian society. There's nothing we have to do to earn God's grace or goodness. We already have it. We already are it. What if this? These are the teachings of Ernest Holmes. What if we really, truly lived just today as if this were absolutely true? Now, I've been in this teaching for a long time, over 20 years, and I know there are times where I'm like, yeah, this stuff sounds great, but I've got all this other evidence out here. right? I've got all this other stuff going on in my life. And no matter how much I treat, no matter how, which is spiritual mind treatment, prayer, no matter how much I pray, like my outer experience doesn't change sometimes. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But what if we were to really, just for today, take this message in as if it were and act as though it were the absolute truth, that we are perfectly made in the image and the likeness of God, and that there really is nothing else we have to do to be any more spiritual than we are right now. Which means being a spiritual being means we have the qualities of the Creator, which are, as Thomas Troward said, love, light, life, peace, joy, wisdom, and abundance. What if we could really today take that in, every single cell? That is the truth of who we are. That would mean, at least for me, I would have to give up some of my stories. Like, and I mentioned this last week about not enough time. My life is very full right now. I'm not. My friend used to say, I want to live from the saucer. I feel like I'm living from the overflow of the saucer. But really, if we get to this place where we are on the mountaintop, we are on that summit, and we're looking from the perspective of spirit, we're looking from first cause. We are the ones that create in our lives. We co-create with the divine. Joni said it beautifully in her meditation about I am creating conditions in my life that work for me, or something like that. Ernest Holmes, in What Religious Science Teaches, says, the ultimate goal of life does not mean that we shall ever arrive at a spiritual destination. The ultimate goal of life does not mean that we shall ever arrive, at a spiritual destination where everything remains static and inactive. That which to our present understanding seems an ultimate goal will, when attained, be but the starting point for a new and further evolution. We believe in the eternal upward spiral of existence. So it's not that we arrive somewhere. It's not that it gets tied up into a nice little bow. Sometimes it doesn't arrive like that. It's still open. It's still fluid. We're still creating because we are creative beings. I mentioned this last week and I've been playing with it this week. Where do we look to conditions for permission? Where do we look for conditions out there for permission? For example, our next senior minister, we posted June or July, we haven't had one application. And there have been other centers that have gotten a new senior minister. In Dayton, in fact, Reverend Catherine became their new senior minister. We haven't gotten one application. And I can't tell you how many times I have allowed this condition to give me permission to have hope. I have certainly felt like, oh my gosh, this is not going to end. We're never going to get there. I'm going to have to be doing these sermons, but I like doing these sermons, but I'm going to have to be doing them forever. I'm like, oh God, please. I just want a Sunday off. Thank you, Margie, for talking. Let's make it a Sunday off. And for those of us, not just besides me, but those of us that are keeping this together, keeping this afloat, I'm working on being willing to not look to conditions for permission. And I think sometimes just that little bitty crack, just being willing to look from first cause, out here is old news. We talked about this before. Out here is the manifestation of the tendency of our thoughts, not just that one thought, but out here is the conditions. This is the manifestation of what we have thought over and over and over again. And what we know is a thought that's thought over and over and over again just becomes a belief. You can create a belief for anything. And as I was working on not letting the condition grant me permission, but rather I know that our next senior minister is coming to us right now, I get a call. Don't get too excited. Or maybe get a little excited. So I think about, like, Abraham would say, ride the rockets of possibility, or ride the wave, like when you send a rocket of, what's that thing called? But when you want something and you send a rocket of desire up and you get excited, I stay in that excitement and create from that excitement. So my friend, Reverend Rodney, that I went to ministerial school with, called me. He has his own center in New York City. He called me in, but I was already in bed. So he said, "Hey, Reverend Amy, give me a call tomorrow." I thought, okay, I haven't talked to him in, a couple of years. I see him at conventions and things. And the next morning I woke up with the idea, what if Reverend Rodney wants to come and apply to be your next senior minister? And I got so excited. He's fantastic. And that whole day, I went to work. I was thinking about talking to Reverend Rodney later on that night, because we're gonna talk that later on that night. And I was envisioning all of it, right? I'm like, okay, what's this gonna look like? Where is he gonna live? What's it gonna be like? Who's he gonna click with? How's he gonna be with the practitioners? How's he gonna be on the pulpit? Oh my gosh, my mind just went and created Reverend Rodney as our next senior minister. And I let it happen. And I would, once in a while, I would remember, hey, wait, you didn't say anything. So, Amy, you might be going a little far, so I let myself dream. So, we get on the phone. He's like, hey, how's it going in Ohio? I'm like, oh, it's great here. It's so wonderful. We're having a wonderful fall, and it's so wonderful. How's your community? Oh, our community is great. Everybody's doing really well. You should see it. And he's like, he went to school in Springfield. He went to college in Springfield. He's like, I went through Springfield before. And I'm like, oh, great. He's got connections here. He knows people here. And I said, we're looking for our next senior minister. Hoping he would say, yeah, that's why I'm calling. And he said, well, when I get ready to retire, I'm going to move somewhere warm. To which I went, as I go, wah, wah, wah. And so he was actually calling about something else. But I told him, I said, Rodney, it was really a gift. He didn't even know it. He just sent me a text, said, hey, can we talk? And my imagination took over. And the thoughts that I put into the law about how it was going to feel when we had what I thought was going to be our next senior minister, Reverend Rodney. But that's how we create. That's how we create in this world. When you get kind of like that excitement, when you get something new, when you get those feelings, it's easy to create in those moments, and we do our prayer work in those moments, because when it becomes hard, and sometimes it does, we can fall back to those places. What's important is, so it's very easy I'll just speak for myself, it's very easy to fall back into the collective consciousness. And what I mean by that is like the thoughts and the beliefs that humanity has, or whatever our subgroups are. When we're not deliberately choosing our thoughts and our beliefs, we get the default of what humanity is believing. Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook said, the sum total of all erroneous human beliefs bind until the individual mentally lifts him or herself above the law of averages and into the higher spiritual individualism. The law of averages is what people are thinking of the world. We are bound to that until we lift ourselves above that law of averages into the higher law of spiritual individualism. That is the mountaintop. That's the mountaintop that Kristen talked about and that Joni talked about. We are on this continual spiral of evolution and an upward spiral. We face challenges, but we evolve when we face challenges. And we talked a little bit last week about, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death. Did I say that backwards? The shadow of the valley of death? I think that's right. Is that right, Jim? No. Okay. Do you know what I mean? The Bible verse. It doesn't say stop. You just keep on moving, right? My teacher used to say, when you're going through hell, don't build a condo. But how many times do we pause in our pain? Sometimes I do. But I'm getting better. So we lift ourselves to a higher consciousness. I think about that evolutionary spiral upward to the top of the mountain. And I'll tell you, one of the things, a little caveat, and then I'm done. Sometimes when people say, what is science of mind? Or what is religious science? That's an older term. A lot of times I'll say, we believe that spirituality or religion are like different paths on a mountain. Doesn't matter which path you take, they're all heading to the same place, and they're all eventually going to get to the same place. So, the call to action this week, our task this week, is to not look to conditions for permission, but look beyond the appearances. Look beyond the appearances and seek the spiritual truth that is before us. Come from first cause. Come from a creative being that you are. Respond to life instead of react to it. And I would ask you, as you are doing your spiritual work this week, remember CCSL here in person and online, that right and perfect Reverend Rodney, that's why I'm seeing it now, that right and perfect minister, that right and perfect senior minister for CCSL is being called, has been called. See beyond conditions. See from the top of the mountain. This week I was stuck. I couldn't see beyond the law of averages. My daughter was in the ER and I was afraid. So I sent a text to the practitioners. And they saw the truth for me when I couldn't see the truth for myself. And like I said, I've been in this over 20 years. Sometimes we can't see, and that's the time to reach out to a practitioner. Get some prayer after service. Send a prayer request in. Text me. Any of us. Seek support. We don't have to do this by ourselves. You know what else? I just want to say just a moment of gratitude for everyone. Where we are, where we're going, where we've been. So grateful that you all are here because it is a beautiful day in Central Ohio today. And you could be outside, and I hope you all get to do whatever you want to do after you're here, after enriching your soul. So please join with me as I close this in prayer. By connecting to that flame within me, that is God, that is light, life, wisdom, joy, and abundance. That flame within me is the same flame within each and every one of us. That is spirit, that is God, that is alive. That is that living, loving presence of the universe, alive and well within each one of us. So I speak my word right here and right now on behalf of each person hearing my voice, that the inner and the outer panes of our lantern are washed clean. We wash off the dust and the grime and the grit of living in life that accumulates so that we can shine our light, the light of spirit, brighter. And because we shine this light brighter, others see our light and shine their lights brighter as well, as we are guided, guarded, and directed to do that good and perfect work of God, that good and perfect beingness of God that we are called to be. I speak a word of blessing on each and every person, knowing all is well, and all shall be well. So with a very grateful heart for what is and for what is not, I release it, let it go. And together, please say with me, and so it is. So now is the time for the giving of our gifts. Thank you for all of the ways that you continue to give and support and tithe to Columbus Center for Spiritual Living. Your gifts, your tithes, your donations, your pledges are important because it helps us fulfill our mission statement of a world that works for everyone. If you would like to use the square, Margie has our square back there. And as we engage in the law of circulation, we know that God is our source. We cannot outgive God. And remember, too, I'd like to invite you that if you've given online, like I give online, I know some people have a monthly or a weekly donation given already electronically. As the basket goes around, just encourage you to put your hand over it and give some love, love, love. And if you cannot give today, we are glad you are here. Put some love, love, love into that basket, knowing that we live in a reciprocal universe. As we give, we get, and you will get. Also, if you cannot give today, I encourage you to see a practitioner or call the office and arrange for a prayer. It does work. So please say our affirmation with me. My gift goes forth to heal and bless and prosper. It does its good and perfect work and returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
As we witness the law of circulation, join us in singing, I'm so grateful.
So grateful to be able to witness the law of circulation in action. The love manifested through our gifts exemplifies the givingness of spirit to all of its creations. Bless these gifts that we give and receive in joy, and let them be a sign of our love for each other and for our community. I am so grateful for this abundance. I say thank you, and so it is.
And so it is, and so it is.
Practitioner Joni Bauman for the meditation this morning. Thank you, Joni, and for holding High Watch. Thank you, Kristen Wilcock, for being on the platform here this morning. A big thank you to our featured musician, Carissa Holmes. And thank you to our center trio, Tony Bernardi on piano, Steve Parakis on bass, Jimmy Casto on drums. You guys are amazing. Also want to thank Rob Kuhn for doing our sound today. Thank you. Thank you to Julie for being our service coordinator. Thank you to Jim for live streaming on Dave's phone. Thank you, Dave, for offering your phone. Thank you, Jay Westfall, for being on slides. Thank you to Debbie for being our greeter and our usher. And thank you to our song leaders, Dave Scarborough, Tony Miller, and Carissa Holmes. And thank you to all the other volunteers that made it happen this morning. And thank you all for being here, and thank you all for watching. If you are joining us for the very first time today, we welcome you, whether you are here in person. If you are here in person and you'd like more information on who we are or what Science in Line teaches, there's an information packet in the back. Julie has them. If you are watching us for the first time live now or later on, we would love to send you more information about who we are. So you can either contact us through a private Facebook message, or you can call the office, and you can find that phone number on our website. So that is our service for today. Oh, excuse me, a couple more things. If you are not receiving our every other week newsletter, bi-weekly newsletter, please call the office or send us a private Facebook message. We can get you on that list. That's where a lot of our information comes out that we communicate to you all with. Also, next week is a community meeting. So just kind of get updated on what's happening through Core Council, what we've got going on, what we have coming up. And this is going to be an in-person meeting here after service next week. Everyone is invited. It will be in the community room. And also, if you are in need of, or if you desire prayer, either for something you want to celebrate, something you want more of, or something to change, practitioners will be right out here to pray with you. I encourage you to do that. If you haven't done that, it is amazing. So, that is our service for today. Thank you for being here. And please say our blessing with me. There is only one life. That life is Christ. Oh, that life is perfect. That life is my life now. And so it is.